Hi, everyone, and welcome to the AwardsWatch Podcast. I'm your host, Erik Anderson, the editor-in-chief of AwardsWatch, and we just minutes ago had the 79th BAFTA Film Awards. So you know we need to talk about this. And it's going to be an editors-only podcast once again. So with me is executive editor Ryan McQuade.
Howdy.
And associate editor Sophia Ciminello.
What's up, homies?
Exactly. I feel like this is going to be the refrain that we get to kind of keep repeating because
I know what you're talking about.
To no one's surprise, that's even like mildly good at predicting. One battle after another won Best Film at BAFTA, as well as Best Director for Paul Thomas Anderson, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Cinematography, Best Editing, and Best Supporting Actor for Sean Penn. Okay, let's go right into it. And actually, I want to go and work our way up because I think the editing and the cinematography wins very good, very strong, obviously fantastic to its build up. Then second cinematography win for the film after BSC. But I want to talk about Sean Penn. I want to talk about this win
Colonel
as most expected and predicted. Stellan Skarsgård, myself included. But Penn had never won a BAFTA before, and I believe he was the only one who did not fly across the pond to the awards. And here we go. He's a winner.
That's correct.
Yeah.
I don't think Jacob Elordi was there.
I don't know. He's been everywhere.
Oh,
I would be surprised if he wasn't.
But I would have been surprised that we didn't share photos of him in our group chat because
that is
love
true.
Jacob, so
that is true.
That's the shocker of all.
I did not see him on the red carpet, so yeah, maybe he wasn't there.
Look at that.
I love this win.
Not me calling us out for our Elordi.
I love this. I love this win. I love it both for the actual performance and because it gives us even another fun piece of the puzzle of this supporting category, because this and the other supporting category have all different winners so far, which is really, really fun. But let's look into just a moment of why we think maybe Benicio del Toro started the critics season so strong and dominated so much. And then Sean Penn started building and building and building his collection of wins. And now here we are with BAFTA. Do we think that he largely won BAFTA because he hadn't before? What do you think, Sophia?
Well, the interesting thing with this performance is that when I first saw the movie with a number of actors, it was a SAG nominating committee screening. People loved this performance, and even when I've gone to public screenings since, he is the performance that people talk about when they leave the movie. And so I think we had discussed, it possibly going this way where once we got to the industry stage, Penn would be the one that the actors in particular would really like. But here at BAFTA, it's interesting that this is a whole Academy voting. It isn't just the actors branch that selected him here. And I don't think it's just because they loved this movie. I think it is actually, he is a veteran in the industry. They do like performances like that too. If you think about, like, BAFTA was the place that went with Rylance and it turned the tide for that race. So sometimes they will go their own way and they'll pick a veteran. And this is one of those performances I think that has always felt like catnip for the industry in particular. And I think with the early critics wins, I think people assumed that Penn would start winning some of these industry prizes early on. So they decided to maybe go a different way. Like when the New York Film Critics Circle went with Benicio del Toro, it was, hey, let's do something different. And people really liked that performance too. It's actually my favorite performance, I think, in the category this year, with Penn actually being a close second. But I think it really was that the early critics groups then, I think sometimes regional critics get into a thing where they start copy pasting, and Benicio is a classic case of it feels good to give this person a win because we like the character, the performance is great, it's iconic already. But if we have learned anything over the years, the industry does not care what people are saying online about our performance or an actor's reputation most of the time. And Penn isn't exactly a Carla Sofia Gascon situation here. He already has 2 Oscars. It's clear that the industry really likes him. And it's also a performance that is probably the most, not probably, actually, truly the most memorable when you look at all of the actors in the supporting categories this year.
Yes. And Ryan, what is your take? Because even though, we have Critics' Choice and Golden Globes, those are both journalist organizations. This
Yeah.
is actually the first industry group to give us a take on all of these races. So what are your thoughts about what I asked Sophia, and that is how the tide has turned from Del Toro as the critics' favorite to Penn here today.
Well, I remember being back at New York with you guys and seeing the film for the first time. And I remember also then months later after the film had come out and being at Middleburg and a lot of conversations with people about how Penn, it was like a rediscovery for Penn for a generation. Like a lot of people for the last 20 years, almost like 18 years since his win for Milk, don't remember how at a time Sean Penn was the actor. It was like him and Russell Crowe and Daniel Day-Lewis were, you know, giving these movie star giant performances that were, Denzel as well, where they were just like shower them with awards. And Penn, while he might seem like a controversial figure, he's had a controversial career and life. He is revered as a transformative actor, and as someone that is playing someone that is completely unlike himself. He is a staunch liberal playing up to a certain degree, and he is not playing this far right MAGA loving Christmas adventure seeking lunatic. And I think that there's also a lot about his philanthropy work that a lot of people still admire about him that supersedes a lot of the questionable, weird shit that he says sometimes out of his mouth. I think he also has done a good job of going to the right things but then also not oversaturating himself. Like, I think he showed up at Santa Barbara for that 3-actor, one battle after another tribute. He showed up at the Golden Globes. He's shown up at places that I think, he did the actors on actors, which, Benicio didn't do that. He did. And it was actually quite funny, his actors on actors with Julia Roberts. And they had a really good, back and forth. And I've always thought early on that he was going to be the winner. It feels so traditional. He's this sort of villain that you kind of like it. It's almost as a little bit like a Christoph Waltz in Inglourious Bastards type, more than, the other villains like an Anton Chigurh, which is just pure evil. Like there's some buffoonery about this character, and it's also the way that Anderson writes it. But I think to answer your question, Eric, about Benicio del Toro, I agree with Sophia. I think that there was like this sort of like when the consensus is that that's going to be the industry play. So we can go in a route that's different than normal. And it almost felt like Benicio wasn't a sure thing early on. And those wins really catapulted him to landing that nomination and really another sign of strength for one battle after another. But what we have seen so far is like the craziness of an Elordi win, which felt very specifically and targeted by the Frankenstein campaign. And then the Stellan Skarsgård win sort of, kind of mixing that up a bit. But this one was where I think it really mattered. Like the wins, obviously because it's a televised and it is industry, but BAFTA outside of Barry Keoghan over the last couple of years has been extremely predictive of who is going to win this award. And they love one battle after another. Like this is a movie that Sophia has gone over to London multiple times and been with those crowds. They eat this movie up like catnip.
Sorry,
And
I love this because it almost sounds like I am going all the way to London for one battle after
It
another.
did sound a little bit
And
like
I need
that.
to
And
just clarify that point because I think listeners might, assume that that's true about me because it's very likely,
it's very likely, but she's
no.
there on travel for work, and she's
Yes.
gone to screenings, and she's gone to Q&As, and she's seen the film there like 2 or 3 times, right? And the crowd loves and gets the humor, and a lot of that, twisted humor falls in line with Sean Penn's character. And so I don't see it as a bad win. If he went on to win this Oscar, I do think it would be the best win of his career because I think it's so outside of his, like when we first saw the casting for this, I thought, what the hell is he doing in this movie? Because he's fine in Licorice Pizza, but he's not that great. You know what I mean? He's kind of like supremely kind of just like in a part where I'm like I could give or take that. He's totally different and sort of reminds you again of like this guy used to be giving us heaters every single year with performances. I mean, this is a guy for Oscar historians out there. I remember Entertainment Weekly said that all the King's Men was going to win Best Picture in that remake, that terrible remake that came out solely on the fact that he was the lead in the film. And then you saw the trailer and he's pontificating and speeching, and it's a big hammy trailer. And they were like, it's going to win. It's going to win. And he's going to win a second already then. And da 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 da. And then a couple years later, he won for Milk. I don't know. I just think that it's so fascinating. But then again, he might not win, Eric, because like I'm kind of curious what you think. Because like, does this matter? I mean, because it's still very open. It seems like. But when does SAG voting open? It opens up here very soon, like this week.
oh, it's
right?
already open. SAG voting
Already
is always
open.
it's a month of
Long.
voting. They don't have the small windows that the Oscars do. PGA, DGA, SAG, the guilds have very, very long voting windows.
Yeah, they do.
Well, like I said, this and the supporting actress category are categories that have so far 3 different winners in those 3 precursors so far. And it's kind of fun. It's kind of exciting. And I think that most people are going to look then to SAG as to who is the person that gets the second award and then start to weigh and balance what has more strength. Obviously, if Penn were to win SAG and have SAG and BAFTA, he would be pretty unstoppable. If Elordi wins SAG and Critics' Choice, not super strong, really. The film is strong and it's going to win definitely 3 other Oscars. And then you would also have, your
makeup
makeup
winner.
and hairstyling and acting win possibility. But Stellan Skarsgård's not SAG nominated, so he's not going to be able to be there. Miles Caton winning would obviously be one of those absolutely weird, bizarre things, but then people would then use that to justify Delroy Lindo coming in and winning the Oscar at the end.
It's not the same thing.
Of course, it's not the same thing. Of course,
I know. I'm not saying it for you. I'm just saying people out there are going to be saying this in their cars. It's the same thing. It's not. Sure. It's not.
But what I think it does, what I think this win does is,
and then there's
kind of open people's eyes a little bit, because what I was seeing today, specifically about Penn and about Lockjaw as a character, is this like personal bias against Penn and Lockjaw as a character, which has really kind of clouded a lot of ability to see through, where a voter is seeing. And you did mention the different things that Penn has done and gone to up to this point. And I know we're spending a lot of time on Penn and on this category.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal.
There's a really interesting thing happening too, where he's not doing, really interviews. He's not doing other things the way that a lot of other people are absolutely pressing the flesh at every possible event that they can go to. And I think that's a great balance to look at a campaign that is more sort of like what Monique did when she won. She's like, the performance is there. If you want to vote for it, you can vote for it. I'm not doing your little circus here. Whereas, other people, not that they need it, but it is a part of a campaign that is very helpful. Thing is that it's all very apples to oranges. You can't directly compare one to the other as to working or not working. Clearly it's working for Penn here to be able to win the BAFTA. I don't think he's done anything abroad, has he? I don't think so. But he didn't need to because the voters were down.
Yeah, it's mostly been Leo and PTA that have been doing the UK circuit. Like those are the two that have been like doing the Q&As and more of the targeted campaigning I think that we've seen there. But what's interesting is that, Sean Penn, he won at the London Critics Circle Supporting Actor of the Year there. And that actually doesn't have like a great correlation with BAFTA necessarily or the Oscars. So the fact that he was able to win both is pretty significant because Kieran Culkin was able to do that too last year and he had a full sweep, but they've gone with other, Charles Melton, they went with Cody Smith-McPhee, Joe Pesci for The Irishman. They go a different way
They go the
sometimes
great
than BAFTA
way.
ends
Those are
up
great
doing,
winners.
right? They pick great wins. But I think that double up there, that was never a given or a guarantee. So the fact that he did that, it's showing international support and again support with an entire academy in the industry.
Yeah.
But Eric, to your point, I think which is going to be very critical after SAG, and we'll obviously we'll have those winners and we'll react to them next week, and then we'll have the full picture after those reactions before we start making our final predictions episode. Is that the rule of thumb over the last couple of years has been in divisive, contested categories, you go with the front runner for Best Picture because that's usually where the passion lies the most in these awards races. And we've seen that a lot in the lead performances. And it kind of also played out with Everything Everywhere All at Once in the supporting performances towards the end of that season. We're kind of in that voting block of that season where SAG's going to, obviously, because we've been very divisive as to like what's winning or whatnot. But if Penn won there and won with BAFTA, like you said, it's very strong. Elordi would be, I think it would be then a coin toss probably between the two. I don't think Delroy Lindo is a thing. I will continue to say that Delroy Lindo is not a thing. I don't care. He didn't get nominated anywhere. He hasn't won that many critics prizes. Like this would be a thing that if Sinners was showing strength in picture anywhere, then you can kind of start to think in the back of your head that might happen. Obviously, Stellan Skarsgård, he has no more chances. A Globe win only is not good for him. And then Benicio would have only SAG, but it would be interesting at that point because then you would have 4 people with awards and Delroy Lindo. And logic would then say you pick either Benicio or you would pick Sean Penn at that point because they're going to be in the film that wins Best Picture. Presuming if, of course, the PGA goes with one battle after another, as we presume, just like they did with it today for Best Picture, or I think after today, like I wouldn't be shocked if one battle after another just pulled the Oppenheimer and won SAG Ensemble as well. Like I don't think that there were like people are ready for that world where that happens, because that's the thing that I also saw online is people trying to justify their foot down predictions and then saying, well, because this race didn't go to a full sweep or this person didn't win here. It once Sinners wins SAG Ensemble, it's a race. And it's like, that's not how it works at all. You know what I mean? It's very weird. But I do think supporting actress is a very interesting category if you want to go over and talk about that too.
Yes, because I think what happened today there was pretty substantial. Because a lot of the argument about why or how Delroy Lindo can win would be as a part of a Sinners win that we've seen in most of the several years prior, where you have an acting win, a screenplay win, director win, some combination of that to get to Best Picture. So a lot of people were really kind of hinging that on Delroy Lindo, but Wunmi Mosaku is the one that won today. So I think that did also sort of give people a little bit more hope, like the Sinners Gang hope that was going to be a connective piece of tissue there. But and it's not impossible, but at the same time, Sean Penn is there for one battle. So if you're going to make one argument, you have to be able to balance it and make the other. I do think Mosaku's win was fantastic and a bit of a surprise. I don't really subscribe to the she's British, so that's why she won. Not even with Robert Aramayo, which we'll get to in a little bit too.
I mean, she's also a previous winner as well.
She's a TV winner, yes.
Yeah.
Not to shame TV, but it's a different organization, different voters, different
but
group.
still a BAFTA winner.
Mm-hmm. By the way, she's British. Delroy Lindo's British, and she got nominated and she won. He didn't. So everybody wants to, once again with the whole Delroy, want to,
sure,
massage the rules out there.
He's
but
British by birth, and she's British by residence.
Birth? Yeah,
no,
by residence. Oh, okay.
She was born in Nigeria, so and moved to Manchester.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a great win. It is like we mentioned, the other supporting category, which has 3 different winners and missing, nominations all over the place. Amy Madigan was not BAFTA nominated, and Elle Fanning and Inga Ibsdottir-Lillies are not SAG nominated. So there are missing bits and pieces of this puzzle everywhere. Mosaku is not one of them, so she's a fantastic choice. But
the only consistent person that's been there all year is Teyana Taylor in every category.
She is the only one, yes, because Mosaku missed the Globes.
And Madigan missed BAFTA.
Yeah, Madigan missed BAFTA. But I think a lot of people, sort of like the Skarsgård predictions, many predicted Teyana Taylor to be the winner here. Why do you think that Taylor missed and Mosaku got in?
Well, I actually think that most people didn't have Teyana Taylor predicted, because when I was looking on the award expert app and Gold Derby and a number of places, Inga Ibsdottir-Lillies was the top person. I think a lot of people suspected Teyana Taylor to actually miss here and not win. And some people, I think, blamed, they made it seem like they're only going to go with a white actress. They like international films, so it's going to be Lillies. I never bought into that personally. I did predict Teyana Taylor, but I had Mosaku as my spoiler, not Lillies. And part of that is because I think a good part of it, yes, she's British. She's been campaigning really well, and I think that they clearly like her, and they clearly like Sinners too. It also won original screenplay and score.
Mm-hmm.
Not as much, not even close to as much as, but I think some of this might be, and this is my suspicion, that sometimes when it comes to women that are nominated, women who are playing prickly characters, complex characters, who are in roles that voters, might not like, that they sometimes will go with another option. And I think that that is part of the case with Tiana Taylor. I think it's going to be, it always was going to be a harder sell with the way that people are talking about Perfidia Beverly Hills and not understanding that character at all. So I think when you have an option there like Musaku, who is a hometown favorite and who's playing a character, I think that is much more traditional with what they could go with here and more palatable. Like she is, she's an easier character, I think, for audiences to root for. And as we know, it doesn't matter if you're a man and you're playing a character that's difficult, but when it comes to women, that can be a much more difficult thing to pull off when getting votes. But I still
Yeah.
think Taylor is formidable at SAG.
Yeah, I mean, it is very funny to have these two characters side by side as winners that
Hmm.
expresses exactly what you just said there. Although Taylor and Penn being co-winners would have been absolutely hilarious, and I would have loved to see that. Ryan, what are your thoughts on supporting actress Taylor Masako and how BAFTA got there?
Well, I didn't put formal predictions out there, but like you did, Eric. But I didn't think Tiana Taylor was actually going to win this category. I thought that Wunmi Mosaku or Inga Estrada Lilius were going to win this category. Mostly because I do think that it wasn't about Inga being white. I do think the international contingent and the fact that it did so well there with BAFTA and it did win best their international feature film award. So and I just thought that it was stronger there than it obviously was at SAG. But I was starting to come around on the idea that Wunmi Mosaku was going to win this because yeah, I do think it was like a hometown win and her previous BAFTA win and I do think that they like Sinners and of anybody in that cast that was going to win, it was going to be her. And I think with Tiana Taylor, I've always thought of that as a SAG winner, and I still think she will win SAG. If Lusaka won, that would be very interesting. But I think it's kind of like a Carrie Condon situation, where she's going to win that, and then that's her win for the season in Musaka, and then SAG will
Hmm.
be our winner there. Now, of course, Ki Kwan was the sweeper in supporting actors, so that doesn't really hold there. But I think every category this year seems to be going by
No,
its
he
own
lost
rules.
BAFTA too, so
No, he lost BAFTA, but he was just, everywhere else he was just, he won everything else. I think that Taylor will win that, and then it'll go down to what I said about supporting actor is that what is the stronger film? And I don't think it'll matter because people can say what they want about Perfidia Beverly Hills. Tiana Taylor has been a campaign machine, and people love her and have taken photos with her and think she's hilarious. And she has shown up at every award show. She showed up even at the Grammys, for God's sakes, and because she
well,
was
she
a
was
musician.
nominated, but
Yes, where she was nominated, and she's rocked every red carpet, and she's done every Q&A, and she's done all of the SAG voting. They do like the round table or whatnot there, and she was front and center there, and really took command when I was watching that video. And I do think that they love one battle after another. I think that is a celebrated performance. I think that some of the negative stuff has been from people trying to gin up things rather than actual truth. She's won a ton of critics prizes. I think that the Globe speech was really great for her. So while she missed here, I wasn't surprised. I think if she'll win SAG, that's my official prediction on that. And then I think it'll go down to what do you think's winning Best Picture? And I think it's one battle after another, like it's always been. And I think she's going to be the winner, like I always thought she is. Now, if that obviously Musaka wins, then she's our winner. Much like Penn, it's the same argument, not making pretty much any change there. But like, what if Amy Madigan wins? how much stock do you put into that? Because she doesn't have any other nominations. She only won CCA and SAG. It's very Elordi-esque, though Elordi has what, like 8 other nominations to go along with that film. The other winners wouldn't matter. Really, it's down to Taylor, Mosaku, and Madigan. And I do think there is maybe, I don't know if this is the case, but Madigan there does take away a little bit of anybody if is a genre lover or fan. I don't know. I kind of was thinking about that a little bit today of like the vampire movie and the horror movie. Not that they're canceling each other votes out, but like, does somebody that likes horror movies, did they vote for her because they couldn't vote for Madigan because they like Sinners more there? I don't know. I'm just kind of thinking out loud because we're living in a very unprecedented year. This is going to be first, and really, we haven't seen the supporting categories like this in a very, very long time. No, I don't think Marcia Gay Harden things are going to be happening, but I do think that when we look at it at the end of the year, it's going to be a very weird, very weird year, or it could just be like it does when it comes down to the vote, a very straightforward night, much like we're starting to see in technical categories for one battle after another. It just becomes, even if SAG wins happens, Oscars are its own thing, and it kind of wins those awards there and has a 7, 8, 9 win night.
Yeah, I mean,
That's on the
SAG
table.
is definitely known for certain kinds of wins that just never do translate to the Oscars. Whether it is a veteran or whether it is a person of color or whether it is a genre performance, those happen quite a bit. So I think like a Madigan win at SAG wouldn't necessarily hark her as an Oscar winner by any means. I just kind of really don't. It would just make, the eventual likely winner a little more up in the air and kind of fun. But let's move on because we've spent like 40 minutes on the supporting categories, but they were pretty big, and they were the two categories that have given the most variety. So I think there was, it's worthy to have spent that much time on them. But
And right at the beginning of the show to scare us a little bit, I think, and to think, what
yes,
is happening at this show?
it was kind of great. It was just like let's go BAFTA. And then
Something's in the tea. Yeah.
later in the show, BAFTA decided to really do something generational in Best Actor. And they gave it to Robert Aramayo, who also won Rising Star for I Swear. And it's been 25 years since BAFTA in all of its forms of voting and times where it's been before or after the Oscars, where they have given this award to somebody who is not Oscar nominated. That is a quarter century. That is a huge, huge bit of history with this category. They said no to Timothée Chalamet, stopped his streak ability. They said no to DiCaprio, even though they clearly love One Battle. And, everyone else who was a potential player here, Michael B. Jordan, Ethan Hawke, whatever, said absolutely not. And the one thing this did that actually made me very happy, just as a stat person and using the rule that I used in my incorrect predictions here, was that I Swear also won Best Casting. So it kept that very short sample size bit of history going, where the Best Casting winner is coupled with an individual acting winner. Now, obviously, this does not impact the Oscars in any way whatsoever in terms of Aramayo. But let's talk about what it means for Chalamet as the perceived frontrunner, and anybody else that has not won anything yet. Because as we get to SAG, Chalamet has the chance to make history there by being the only person ever to win twice. But what if he doesn't? Ryan?
I don't think he's going to. That's the thing. Um, I don't know. I was getting this massive weird vibes from now that he's starting to behave, he's actually losing prizes. Like and he's like actually like dressing the part. And then he did that weird town hall thing in Austin with McConaughey where they're like,
Showing each
talking
other
about,
poop.
yeah, and they're talking about how AI is going to be at the Oscars in a couple of years, and he's just like, just being like, yeah, sure, whatever, man, and
But
it's
his
like,
fans got so up in arms about AI last year, so it's weird that they don't care all of a sudden.
well, I
Mm,
Hmm.
mean, the complete unknown did use it, so I mean, he
mm.
seems to be really at home with it, but and Dune too, evidently, but I don't know, I 0 for 11 for Marty Supreme is the story that you could really come out of with that. The fact that also, again, with the below the line categories, Frankenstein has really locked up production design, costume design, and makeup. One battle after another is on the verge of pretty much showing up cinematography and editing. So that leads Marty Supreme in a. I know the Safdies want to be Martin Scorsese, but it almost feels like they're about to be Martin Scorsese because he looked like that movie could go over at the Oscars. It'd be Chalamet or bust, which given it would be like what The Whale was the last time that happened, right? And now that was a case where Austin Butler won the BAFTA, and then you know Brendan Fraser won SAG, and then it was over, But as a another nomination, no, it had the makeup win, right? Didn't The Whale have the
Mhm.
makeup win? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's at least a makeup win with it. When was the last time we've had a best actor win where it was just the actor? That's a stat that we'd have to look back into and just double check there.
Oh, it
But
would, it would, we don't even have something really comparable. The
no,
only
we
one I
don't.
was toying with the other day was when Daniel Day-Lewis won for Lincoln and then it won production design. And that's it from like 12
Yeah.
nominations.
Yeah,
But there's
exactly.
another perfect thing that Marty Supreme couldn't win at the SDSA, the Set Decorators Society. Like
I
Jack
went to
Fisk
Wicked.
should have won there. It went to Hamnet in
Oh,
period.
Hamnet. That's right. That's right. That's right.
Hmm.
Well, I mean,
Um,
but technically the production designer does not really win.
yeah.
It is the second decorator. The production designer gets like an and credit, which is just kind of
But it's
flipped.
still the same sort
It's
of
still,
Yes.
yeah,
it's an
it's the
adjacent
prize.
discipline. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like I made the chair, I put the chair there.
Now,
Yeah.
there's, as you're pointing out, Eric, there's two trains of thoughts. One, Chalamet just wins the SAG. Uh, like, this means nothing. He swept the season. He's won most of the critics' prizes. Bing, bang, boom. He's essentially a semi sweeper, kind of like Buckley, and just an anomaly throughout the season for that film. And is it sole win? And then walks off of the night, and you can have a mini A24 party and congratulatory, on top of the Sphere, maybe, I don't know. But if Chalamet is not the winner, and it goes to, I don't think it'll go to Ethan Hawke. I don't think it'll go to Michael B. Jordan. I don't think the Wagner Mora thing, that's like a Fernando Torres thing. Everybody kind of got bit in the ass last year about that.
I
The
want to
logic,
predict it though. I do.
the logical choice
Oh, there are plenty of people
outside
that
of,
are.
I think the logical choice outside of Chalamet at SAG would be Leonardo DiCaprio, because that movie is strong, because it was the SAG, is now the most nominated film in SAG history. I think that, if there's a down ballot and there's like this ocean wave for one battle after another, I could see that happening. I think as of right now, I'm going with Chalamet. It's just the right move. It's just the smart move until it happens. I don't think that it would probably be anybody. And yeah, I do think that Eric will have new history. But yeah, I still think DiCaprio would be the person that would be the person to spoil, because I think he's in the most popular film from the guilds and from BAFTA, and it would just make logical sense at that point.
And Sophia, what are your thoughts on the Robert Aramayo win and really kind of how that happened here?
Congratulations to Dan Bayer for correctly calling this.
And calling Erik
Yes.
out.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Like it didn't even take not even 10 seconds after I tweeted, Dan was right up my ass. Like, I told you so. I'm like,
Good,
well,
good for
done
him.
the
you
same
did.
thing.
You did. I would have exactly.
I would have done the same thing. I would have boom, and I would have put it on
100%.
social media on blast. Yeah.
Yes. So congratulations, Dan. But I think, I swear did really well with the BAFTAs getting nominations. It had 5 nominations. It was only really second to Hamnet as a British film performing well across the board. And then it's really clear that this has, it has become a success story in the UK. And sometimes they do go with their own, like we've talked about. And here, I mean, it is a statistical anomaly, but I think what could really happen is that, clearly they didn't like Marty Supreme very much. And I do think we have to consider that Marty Supreme, despite Timmy's international tour, might not be strong internationally. It might not be, or at least as strong as we suspect. And it also, I mean, for getting 11 nominations and going 0 for 11, it got 9 at the Oscars. So it did miss in some key places where he's the only actor nominated. Zion didn't make it in at the Oscars, but she did make it in at the BAFTAs. So something's going on with that film and support. I think with Aramayo, that performance, I still need to see, I swear, but from everything I've heard about it, it's the type of performance that is a really big transformation. And it's something that I think a lot of actors could, a lot of times when I think of performances that win, sometimes it's roles that actors want or performances that they admire. And here we have a newcomer like stepping into a movie and a role like that. And it just worked out because I don't think Chalamet and that movie were strong enough here. And I don't think that DiCaprio has maybe taken off in the way that we might have suspected. So I'm really curious what happens with SAG. I'm still predicting Chalamet at the moment, just because I think it does still make the most sense, just given the evidence that we have. I'm not really comfortable going out on a limb and saying anyone else, but I'm definitely going to be looking at SAG and seeing what happens there.
Yeah,
Sophia,
it's a funny
oh,
thing because there is this potential for Chalamet to win these 2 lead SAGs and then lose the Oscar twice, which would put him in historic territory in a pretty negative way. But you do also bring up the point of a certain amount of lack of support for Marty Supreme. And what we've seen in this category specifically at the Oscars is the winner brings a supporting performer along with them. The last time
Yeah.
that didn't happen was Joker. But ironically enough, there was a 3-year period, Joker, Bohemian Rhapsody, and Darkest Hour, all 3 years in a row, where the Best Actor winner did not have a supporting performance with them. So, you have to look
sweepers.
at it. Yes. And they were sweepers. Mostly.
and they were sweepers.
And they were sweepers. Well, I mean, you have the Hopkins scenario in which Chadwick Boseman won SAG, and then we know how that turned out.
Yeah.
But
and then
go ahead, Brian.
Well, no, I was going to ask Sophia. One is Erik. I'll ask you. Is that, and this is the question really that I kind of already answered, but I was curious from what you both think. If Chalamet doesn't win, who wins SAG? And even if he does win SAG, because BAFTA has shown just like a no thank you to this movie today with 0 for 11, would that still be a hesitant pick on, to pick Timothy? And if that's the case, who would you then lean towards without any precursor potentially that matters? Because like even Wagner Moura's win is a Globe win. It's
Yeah.
like so would that Or is that just overthinking it and it's Chalamet at that point and it's Win locked up, bing, bang, boom? Because it doesn't seem like that from at least the BAFTA voters today.
Yeah, I mean, I think what I'm not going to, and I joked, I want to predict Wagner Moura, but the reason why I can't is because it's an even weaker case of what I felt for with Lily Gladstone, which
Yeah.
is she didn't get nominated at the BAFTA. So I thought, oh, well, they didn't go head to head here. So maybe she could have won if she were nominated. That kind of thinking is always dangerous. And
Carrie
you have
Mulligan
to kind of
thinking a little bit.
The Carrie Mulligan Phantom
Train.
BAFTA. Exactly.
Yeah.
So you have to just see, okay, but if this person didn't get nominated here at all, that has to mean something
Yeah.
especially with the crossover that we have. So I do think at SAG it's either going to be Chalamet, DiCaprio, or Michael B. Jordan. I think he's worked for a long time, and I think if they like Sinners, he could pull that off potentially. If it's not Chalamet winning, though, I'm going to have a lot of trouble with this prediction.
Yeah.
And I might just throw my hands up in the air and predict Leo
Yeah.
because
It's
of the
it's
best
a
Because
picture
it's
weird.
the
and
best. Well, it's
It's a
also the
weird.
best picture winner at that point.
yeah.
Sure, but then
Potentially.
at this point, you're going, Sean Penn, Tana Taylor, DiCaprio. It's I
Oh,
think
you mean it's like 3 years ago?
you sure, but that was an exception.
Well, maybe this is an exception.
I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it.
I don't know. Until it gets
And
to 70, it wins.
Okay, sure. So the thing with this for me is I do think Chalamet on paper is the one that makes sense.
Yeah, he does. Totally.
But to what I was saying earlier, SAG is also much more willing to vote for veterans and people of color than Oscars and BAFTA are in the same way. Michael B. Jordan as a SAG winner makes a lot of sense, not as an Oscar winner, but as the SAG winner here. That might be where I end up, but it's you don't want to keep predicting something and then have it not happen, because then you just sort of look like you're being really obstinate and stubborn, because you're kind of unwilling to waver from that. And Chalamet kind of feels like that. It feels like he's been
Yeah.
this penciled in sort of like pre-existing winner, and that's like prediction brain that really kind of gets the worst of us. So I'm still torn.
Well, I wonder too with Chalamet, what worries me for him is that BAFTA, even more so than Oscar, is willing to go with the young actor. Like they went with Butler over Colin Farrell.
They went with this guy
So,
today. You
yeah.
know, like Aramayo's not like, or how do you say his name? Sorry, I really never heard of his name.
Aramayo.
Aramayo. Really never heard of him until, like the I Swear stuff.
He's on the Lord of the Rings show on Amazon. He's really good.
Like I watched that.
He's an elf.
I don't care. But congratulations on your win. But he's young as well, to your point, Sophia. I do think this. Chalamet doing this whole week retrospective with American Cinematheque, having Nolan, having Denis Villeneuve, having Edward Norton, having all these people come and do these Q&As with him, and sort of this massive like celebration of life at 30 years old, like he's gonna like he's gonna like leave the industry next year or something. It does feel very Coronation. I do also think that our good friend Scott Mance did a Q&A with him, and I gotta say that whole like, no, just the mob on the stage that stayed there, and it was an industry screening, and voters were there, and people were still flooding that stage to take photos with him, and it looked insane. It looked like one of the more passionate things you could see this season. And I was like, why is there not enough security? It looked like, because it was terrifying. But that shows something as well. It's like, well, then he could just win SAG, have enough industry support. Who says that he wasn't like very close to winning that BAFTA, just as he's been a lone winner and going to be the lone winner all year. It does seem like the right thing, just, on paper, like Erik said. But yeah, I don't see a Michael B. Jordan win. They have gone head to head, even if it was at Globes and they didn't go there. Critics' Choice didn't win there, which also feels like a slam dunk place for a movie that was nominated a ton, like Sinners said. I keep saying this about Sinners. Like, if it didn't do so well at Critics' Choice and some of these other places, then, that's where it should have, dominated, and it didn't. And then obviously he didn't win BAFTA today. I don't know. It would be very difficult, because like the temptation of wanting to pick Leonardo DiCaprio is that he's in this picture and that's dominating, and everybody's pretty much got to win on the board except him. But he might just be part of the ensemble, and that's okay. I don't see the, overwhelming career narrative just yet for Michael B. Jordan, like we do with Chalamet. And so, it just feels like this was a bump in the road. I don't know if this means that I swear we're going to be talking about this next year now that it's eligible, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people like, well, they won the BAFTA last year, but, it could just be that BAFTA didn't like it, but the industry liked Chalamet enough to give him the win next weekend. So,
yeah. I mean, quickly on the retrospective point, I do wonder though if that could backfire with some who
it
are,
could. No, you're absolutely right.
He's had an incredible career, yes, and he has done
But he's
so
30.
much already. But he's 30 years old, and I could see people rolling their eyes and being like, "Really? A career retrospective at 30?"
They did as soon as it was announced. Yeah. And they were like, why is Interstellar here? He's 5 minutes into in that movie. And I guess to it
was kind of cool.
A layman, that makes a lot of sense. I think in the industry, it makes perfect sense for him to have a retrospective, which is clearly tied into an Oscar campaign. This isn't happening
of course.
In the summer. It's not happening connected to Dune 3. It's happening specifically for the voting period and in Los Angeles. So it's, you have to kind of look at things for exactly what they are, and not so much of not you specifically, Sophia, but like what I was reading when this was announced, people were kind of up in arms at why this 30-year-old would have a retrospective, despite the fact that he has
it's a silly idea.
Quite a few Best Picture nominees under his belt, more than most people at 30. So
I think we have to think about that if you're looking at a group who doesn't like rewarding young men historically. Like there could be some of that bitterness floating around, that
slap the
unwillingness
stud
to go
but wouldn't
there.
That also work against somebody like Michael B. Jordan as well too, because he's young and this is his first nomination?
He's like 40.
Oh, sure.
No, he's
like
not.
38. It's like 37 or 38.
He's like 36.
But it's still, it's like his first nomination. It's not like
He just had a birthday. He's 39.
He's 39.
See?
Okay. Well,
he is 40 years old.
But it's not.
He is not a young man.
No, he's not a young man, but it's also his first nomination. And I wouldn't, it doesn't fit. It would actually be a detractor to be like, he's going to win on his first nom. Like, and so, I don't see that either. He's in their eyes, he is still young,
Yes. It doesn't help that he looks like a child. I think that is honestly one of Chalamet's
yes, he does.
Biggest negatives is that he looks like
he's still 15.
So young. I mean that in a very superficial, intentionally superficial way. That he looks younger than he is. And yes, it did not help that he was kind of acting like his LaGuardia High School self for a really big part of this campaign before, yes, he had like a, I don't know, like a Queer Eye makeover. And then suddenly it was suits and styled hair that.
I miss the
I
old
mean,
style. I miss the harness.
I do.
Remember when he wore that?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I do also think too, like going back to, if people think like Tiana Taylor is a, kind of a prickly character, Marty Mauser is a little shit. And if you act like that in real life, then I think voters will, to some voters, they're a little bit like, is he really playing a character or is he playing himself? And he's sure looking like it. And I do think that that works a little for and works a little against you. I mean,
It was fine for Joaquin Phoenix.
Veteran actor, nominated multiple times.
Sure, an absolute terror to work
and
with.
an absolute terror.
People
And he swept the season. And
so,
it was, no, I know. I know. But he was 40 or 45, almost 50 years old. He was not 30 years old. There is also
he was not 50 years old in 2019.
What was he, like 45?
Chalamet's performance is better.
No, he is. I know it is better, but he's also a 30-year-old. It's like, Phoenix has been worked in the industry, for like 30 years, 20 years, 25 years. It's totally different,
Mm-hmm.
And he's also playing a pre-existing character. That also helped as well.
The comment I made was mostly just about how it affects women. Like, I just am thinking of it that way. I think more so than how it affects men.
Yeah.
Sean Penn was able to win, and that character is
exactly
special.
Yes.
Marty Supreme and Colonel Lockjaw being Oscar-winning characters, like women could never.
What a what a terrible blunt rotation.
I'm telling you. Well, since this is a BAFTA conversation, there were other categories. Obviously, I think Hamnet did exactly the 2 wins that it was going to do. British film and Jessie Buckley for Best Actress. She's going
Were you
to be
nervous?
I was a little nervous that maybe I Swear was gonna like pull it out. Yes,
honestly, it should have won based off of
a little bit.
Yeah, it kind of
but
good for Hamnet.
Buckley is very clearly going to be the only sweeper this season, which is
fine by me.
Highly unusual.
Usually the other way around. We're doing
very welcome.
3 categories are locked up, and we're just worried about that.
I love that.
And Best Actress is easy this year. Yeah,
it's so weird.
She's the first Irish winner of the BAFTA for Best Actress. She'll be the first Oscar winner. Yep, first ever.
And that
Irish
just broke.
People.
It just broke 2 years ago for Irish actor, right, with Killian.
Yeah. Right? Well, and speaking of Colin Farrell, that was something that was in the mix of predictions because no Irish actor had ever won. Yeah. So people were predicting him and then were like, wait a minute, this feels kind of weird because why has no Irish actor ever won before?
And here's a really weird year for the comps a little bit with this, but anyway.
It is, and I love that. I don't like an easy comp. And I don't like a fake one either, where you go out of your way to try and make a comp fit into your narrative, which is obviously what we're seeing a lot now. I swear to God, I hope Marcia Gay Harden does not have a Google alert on her name because
she needs royalties from this.
Absolutely.
She needs to sue. Slander.
Absolutely. Crazy.
Oh my God. I would also say too that
pants.
One Battle After Another, just because it features the military, is not a war movie. It's not 1917. My God. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, I'm tired of seeing the comparisons of like, PCA is going to be
it a war movie.
Well, no, it's just like they're conflating the idea that like this movie is the same thing as 1917, therefore that Parasite is to Sinners. And and it's like they're completely different fucking movies. It's ridiculous. It's different years, different movies, different directors.
That's apples to peaches.
Yeah.
Not even the same.
Not even the same thing.
Speaking of Chalamet.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
I think he was meaning more Parasite, but okay. Sure.
No, I know.
I get what you're saying.
That's bringing it full circle.
Yes. Yeah. Full peach. There you go.
Well, all right. Are there I don't know if there's a lot of other BAFTA conversation to be had with like outliers, or because there really wasn't. F1 won sound, Avatar won visual effects. A documentary might be the one that's a little bit strange because
Because hell,
Mr.
what are we going to
Nobody
do with
Against
that?
Putin was a to me a bit of a surprise as the
Surprise.
winner
Yeah.
in this lineup. I didn't think that they were going to go with The Perfect Neighbor. It's way too deeply American of a
Yeah.
story. So I
Mhm.
really thought that 2000 meters was the one that was going to be able to do that, despite the fact that it's not Oscar nominated. So they had the choice of five films, two Oscar nominees, and they did go with one of them. But yeah, this was a little bit of a surprise.
Yeah. That one was a surprise. I mean, um, to go back to the Wagner Moura conversation of that sentimental value winning in this category kind of just continues to show that it's not the I'm Still Here of this year, that it is going to
Mhm.
be sentimental value and then in Best International Feature at the Oscars. I do think Coogler winning here was, I mean, that's historic. First black
Yes.
filmmaker to win a screenplay category ever. And
Original screenplay.
original screenplay category. But yeah, I know that myself and others were very keen on looking on that because if there was, I think,
Mm-hmm.
going to be an upset in those categories, I think it was actually going to be there with sentimental value. Coogler winning that pretty much solidifies that at the Oscars.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, Paul Thomas Anderson sweeping the adapted screenplay Oscar. That's locked. Director, fucking lock it in.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else that's predicting it otherwise, you're wrong. And then I am curious about, I mean, those below the line categories, like we were saying, and I mentioned it earlier. I don't know what you guys thought about it, but it seems like a lot of what BAFTA has solidified from early on from what we've seen with the guilds. And it is looking at this point like one battle after another is going to be walking in with directors, original or adapted screenplay, uh, possibly editing and cinematography, and then one, two, maybe three acting wins up. It's on the board. I'm not saying that it could happen, just saying it's potential. And then obviously picture. That's a pretty big haul for it. And then the path for sinners, though it seems like if there was a path, is small, but it is still there. And we also did get, because I swear one, we didn't get any fucking help in that casting category either, which everyone
Mhm.
just assumes is going to go to sinners. But they also assumed that cinematography was going to sinners, and look how that's going. So I don't know what you guys think about that category and what we're looking at walking into Oscar night at this point.
Yeah, I want to talk about cinematography and editing because I think a lot of people predicted F1 for editing here. I have been a one battle after another in editing truther all year since I saw that movie, so I am very happy that it won here today. It's a great tie-in with Best Picture, and recently Best Picture winners do win editing at the Oscars no matter what BAFTA does. Like last year they went with Conclave and Honora ended up winning at the Oscars. But I kept hearing, and I think it's also true, that BAFTA loves racing movies, but they didn't go for F1 here. And F1 won in sound, and they still went with one battle after another. So I think that's big. And I
It's got a
think that
racing
we
sequence.
can, yeah, exactly. We got some good car chases, right?
There you go.
So, and I think people are going to finally, I think, go with that instead of F1. And it's always, I think, reminded me a little bit of something like when Everything Everywhere All at Once won editing and Top Gun won sound. Like you can have those splits when the Best Picture winner will take editing. But
Mm-hmm.
cinematography, I mean, now we have two major precursors on the board for one battle after another in BSC and BAFTA. Frankly, at this point, I do expect ASC to follow suit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't see, honestly, I don't see why that wouldn't happen. Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, one battle once again doing very well at other guilds, winning the best picture at the production for the production
Set
designers, right,
decorator.
Eric? Or set decorators.
Decorators. Yeah.
And then having another good day here. It is continuously, even if it's not strong in those categories, still winning its individual categories, has a presence pretty much at every guild so far. We could just presume, I mean, because next Saturday is the Producers Guild, right? Is it next Saturday?
Yeah.
And then SAG is followed by that. So we'll have the remaining pieces of the puzzle before our prediction episode. But Eric, how are you seeing everything playing out? Are you not surprised, or are you?
I'm not. No, I'm not terribly surprised. I mean, with obviously with the exceptions of best actor and yes, supporting actor. Although Penn was my alt here because I just was like, I felt it, and he hadn't won before, and I was just like, I don't know, I just felt
something's happening. Yeah.
I think Sinners played out almost to the letter exactly what I think most people thought was going to happen. That screenplay and score were almost automatics for it. I know a lot were thinking sentimental value as well. That was my alt here. And honestly, that film did really poorly today with just that single win. And so then Mosaku is the sort of the mystical factor there, because it was one more for Sinners, but not that's it. It was just one more. It wasn't like we were seeing a shift happen at BAFTA that was going to signal something larger. So I think for some people, it all that did was sort of like solidify their beliefs that no, it was never going to do well at BAFTA, but it'll do great at the Oscars. That didn't really change anything for them, and the Mosaku win probably has bolstered those feelings a little bit.
Do you feel though that
but I don't think it did.
Well, no, I was going to say, it's like the minute she won, there was like a bunch of people like, this means a lot. And then Penn won right after. And it was like, it kind of felt like a neutralizer in a lot of ways. Cause you're just like, wait a minute.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Like, you were hearing crickets from those people.
Yeah. It's like, it's the same fucking thing. And I mean, but I'm curious about casting. Like, what do we do with that category going into the Oscar night? It's just, everybody has been assuming, and this is another thing with the Sinners people. They assume things, and then the guilds and BAFTA and evidence starts showing up. And so, like with cinematography, with like certain other categories below the line, and director and picture, they assumed it's all going to Sinners. And is the case to be made that, like, if one battle after another's winning director, picture, screenplay, editing, cinematography, all these, and an acting prize, because that's the other thing at Globes and now BAFTA, it's won an acting prize. I think it's safe to assume one way or another, when this is all shaking down, that movie's going to walk away with one acting win, probably minimum, just one. Safe to assume. Wouldn't that also mean that it's a very, very, very high chance that it's going to also win in casting as well?
Well, we don't know.
I mean, if it wins SAG Ensemble, do we get to say it? Do we get to do the flip then there too? Because like today didn't help.
No, it's the first year of the category. And even BAFTA is relatively new. It's only been around since 2019. Critics' Choice just started it. Casting Society is not a great precursor because they have so many categories. So these films are not competing directly against each other in an equitable way. So, I mean, even just the nominations that we got at the Oscars for the first year of this category gave us that little bit of information that we've talked about already, and that was like no casting director got 2, which I think was cool. The biggest surprise of all of that. So it's really going to take quite a few years of seeing how voters view the category. But I mean,
but I'm asking you how you view it for a prediction at this point, because it seems because I think a lot of people are like, this thing's
And
going to help us out here, and it could have, because if Sinners won because Musaka won, then that would have helped. If One Battle won because of Penn, that would have helped, and they didn't do that. So like that, and if the guild is untrustworthy, what do you do with the prediction? Is it just throwing shit at the dart with a dart at the board and just saying like, this is what I believe,
I
or
kind
like,
of,
or do you,
actually, it is a little
kind
bit
of?
like that for me in this
I mean,
category
that's
because
cool. I mean, that's fair.
I can make an argument for almost
All
any of the
five.
five casting nominees here, even the secret agent, because
I was gonna say,
there's something really fascinating
That
about
would be cool.
about this nomination, because when you look at the screen time breakdown of actually both Marty Supreme, but especially Secret Agent, Wagner Moura has like nearly 2 hours of screen time. The next person has like 10 minutes.
yeah,
And then there's 20 people that have between like 1 and 10 minutes of screen time.
yeah,
That is actually an incredible feat of casting.
yeah,
The volume of people that have these very small parts, but so many of them. So it's kind of really awesome. It would be an insane win, but it would be a very cool win.
very cool.
Marty Supreme has non-actors and actors, and that
Same with
absolute
One
piece of
Battle.
garbage Kevin O'Leary, who's just pretty much continuing to like try and sabotage
I was gonna say,
Chalamet's campaign like
He's really
nobody's
helping.
business. He's doing
Yeah.
such a great job of that. Obviously One Battle finding Chase Infinity was integral to this. I wish she had gotten nominated. It kind of would bolster that a little bit for that film in this category. And then Sinners is an incredibly eclectic balance of actors. So
And then Hamnet. Oh no, not Hamnet.
yeah, Hamnet is also Oscar nominated, and there's a lot of kids.
You seem so defeated.
I want it to
No,
happen. I would love for
really,
it to happen. It'd be so
it's
cool.
a really
but,
great.
like,
Yeah,
it didn't even get in at BAFTA. That's like
But look
maddening.
at those faces at the Globe. That's great
Yeah.
casting right there. Like those
Yeah.
people look straight out of the 1600s.
Those
They
two
look-
women on the other side of Jessie Buckley deserve their own individual awards. Those
at the
women,
Special Achievement Oscars. Yeah.
unbelievable. But yeah,
They look
then
like they've
all-
been
Yeah.
they've been
all
living
the
in dirt
kids,
for
all the
years.
kids.
Yeah.
So
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah, definitely the never seen an iPhone faces were
Yes.
filled in that globe that day.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm saying
Yeah.
a whole lot without saying anything other than I don't
Thanks,
know.
Erik. Really clarified that one up.
I will
Sinner
keep it
still feels
short.
like a default winner to me.
Sophia.
One Battle After Another is my default win because if there's a movie where if you look at what they've done in previous years, where if they love something, they give it many wins. If you look at what happened with Honora last year, picking up a win in editing, they didn't care that Sean Baker was the one doing that. They didn't, have any. They didn't think, oh, we have to give it to, an editor who we've wanted to recognize for
They
a
don't
long
think
time.
like that.
They just
We
went
think
with
like
the movie
that.
they like the most. We
Yeah.
think like that. Exactly.
Yeah.
We agonize over these things and
Well,
try
we
to
don't think like that.
envision all the scenarios. Right. But I think like if they like something, it's just another place they can check the box for One Battle. So
But
I'm
it's
gonna go
also
with
like
that.
it's a really
And it's a great
also
achievement. Talk
you
about
go
another
from
eclectic mix of actors.
when Leo and the cast have talked about the film, they've talked about working with the non-professional actors and the people there in the towns that they worked at. And like with Chase Infinity, yes, she's the discovery. You also have the other kids, you have the military, you have everybody in, with
The interrogator.
The interrogator, you have everybody working with Sergio, with Sensei Sergio. You have the people. You also have not just the main cast of big actors. You have the rest of the French 75 to go along there as well. So it is a pretty sprawling cast. And then Sinners has that as well too. Like, it has various, like everybody in the town and there, everybody in the juke joint, and then Jack O'Connell and the indigenous actors. It's got a lot going for it. Both of those films really do. But I think to your point, Sophia, like if it does start seeing like, hey, what's the best thing to default? If we do it in the acting categories, if we do it in things that are really close, it kind of then would make sense to just do it in in that category as well, just for a first year. But you're right, Eric. It is like I'm not going to be mad if I lose that one because I don't know what the hell to do with it either. But that's why I asked you guys
Yeah.
because
Mhm.
it is one that I thought we would get a little bit of help today, and then they were just like, nope, we're gonna give it to a movie that is eligible for shit next year. Really,
Yeah.
So
It's
but I kind of liked it that way.
I think what the I Swear win did today was, kind of, which I did see in my mentions, uh also bolster um people that really believe that British films just automatically do better at BAFTA, which just isn't really the case. It's there isn't a there are more examples of it not being that than being that in the last 20 years. So I can't really subscribe to the idea of I Swear winning because it was British and everything else was not. Um so I don't know. But great win, beautiful win, good for her, whatever.
I think you're just mad that there
Sure.
was another British film that they liked as much as Hamden. I think that there was a little bit of that there.
No, it's not. It isn't that.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
I just I love the break in this 25-year tradition. That's fascinating. I think it's great.
Yeah.
But I don't know what it means for the US version of the Academy version of this category.
Like Drag Race UK and Drag Race,
I mean, for real.
Drag
Something,
Race
some
UK is so wonderful, though. You
so
need
much
to
better
watch
though.
the new one of
I
UK
haven't
versus the
started the
world.
new
They
season.
have something called Chippy Tea that I'm obsessed with. I need you to Google it.
Chippy
I'll
Okay.
tea.
send you a
Okay.
picture.
Okay.
All right.
I
I will.
digress.
Okay. Mm, I do love Drag Race UK.
I'm now like so interested to get off this call.
Yes, yes. But yes, I think we're pretty far into the casting Oscar category and away from the BAFTA version of it. But
Mhm.
was there anything else from BAFTA today that either changed maybe your mind on something or just locked it in even further?
I think. I mean, Sophia, do you have anything I can't really outside of like just
I,
the visual effects is like anytime there's an Avatar film, we just got to lock that sucker
yeah.
in.
I mean, for me, it really locked up most of the tech categories. Like, we had some suspicions, like, oh, could they give production design to Hamnet for building the globe? Or, is something else going to sneak in and win editing? Is this where Sinners win cinematography? And no, it's kind of been exactly what we've been thinking. And they've solidified our thinking, especially around, I think, Frankenstein and those technical categories as being really strong. But then also, again, like to just bang the drum one more time. It's one battle after another year. Like this is the season for one battle after another
Tis
and
the
for Paul
season.
Thomas Anderson. Yeah. And I love the results for one battle after another today. I wish we had more, honestly, but I'll take these. Especially I think the ones we have are really good wins and onward and upward.
Eric, can I say one thing about the cinematography and editing win
Yeah.
for one battle and why I know that a lot of people have really wanted and tried to position history for Sinners in particular to win cinematography. And then there's a lot of people that have gone on, like Sophia said, the sort of F1 train to get that. I do once again say that if like at a place like CCA, when Train Dreams won, I went kind of like look to the side a little bit and I'm like, if it couldn't win here, like why couldn't Sinners win there? But I do think that when we talk about campaigning, I know there was a big Variety article about like how Warner Brothers is dividing to the dollar for Sinners and for one battle after another. It's the type of events and things that they did before the nominations that make a difference. And Michael Bauman and Andy Jurgensen, the cinematographer and editor, respectively, for One Battle After Another, did a lot of co-events and Q&As specifically together, talking about their process with Paul Thomas Anderson, talking about everything over the last, 3 or 4 films that they worked with PTA, and talked about this process. This movie is a grueling process to put through, especially like when you watch it as many times as myself and Sophia have seen. Like it looks easy on screen, but it's, I've talked with Jurgensen, that interview's up on the website. It was not an easy endeavor. I think the fact that when you have the fact that their director is so involved with the editing and the cinematography, along with the 2 artisans, it really feels like their wins are also still extension wins of Paul Thomas Anderson, much like it was with Christopher Nolan a couple of years ago. And I do think that, these guys have never won before, and that plays into it. And also, they just like this film a lot. So when we've seen at most of the guilds, is like this film has been celebrated one way or another. And so it's not surprising, even though there are think pieces and articles. I'm sure we want a lot of history made and things of that nature. But to Sophia's point, it's just one movie's year. And I think a lot of people over the next couple of weeks, as things really 1000% solidify, I think what we're going to see is obviously what Sophia and I have been sort of predicting this whole season is a dominating performance by One Battle After Another. And if it does solidify like that, I think there's going to be a lot of like upset people, and there's going to be a lot of like him and Holland, because there's already, like you said, Eric, stuff about that with Sean Penn. That's just how a year goes. We still have the films, but I think that they're really great wins, and they make sense when you're telling a story about what's going to win on Oscar night. And yeah, Bauman working in London right now while right before this whole thing, before these wins, it almost felt like meant to be. Also, like PTA working with them on Phantom Thread there before. He's built he's built his little hub there before. So all earned, deserved wins, great wins for them. Because like when we were at CCA, it was a lot of PTA wins, and it's great to see those artisans win as well, along with the Frankenstein wins, which are really. Kate Halley's a wonderful interview. Michael did they keep extending it by an hour. How many times, Jacob Lordy was in the makeup chair, and then those, great sets, beautiful sets.
Yeah, sure. All that. Absolutely. So, all right. Well, then without any more final words, unless someone has a final word.
Who was best dressed at the BAFTAs? Renata Renfa?
I loved Renata.
Yeah, I think Renata, like, that little
early pop girl. Yeah, which I loved.
Wunmi was good.
That color is incredible on her.
That's a very good color.
That blue.
Her in primary colors is absolutely out of control and unstoppable.
Wait, she was in primary colors?
You know what?
Oh my God.
I don't remember that when we did the Nickel series.
I need you to stop.
Jason Finity and Tiana Taylor 100%, like still undefeated.
Tiana and Custom Burberry.
The burgundy on Chase Infinity. If you've seen it's incredible. Yeah,
that was great.
It's wonderful.
I like that.
And
too.
then Jesse Buckley, just gotta say,
you know what? We don't need to talk about it, Ryan. We don't need to talk about it.
Chloe, don't wear gold. Don't wear gold.
We're gonna move. Yeah. Well, she won though. So
did she though?
Mm-hmm. She is a winner for British film. So yeah, she won. Spielberg won. Sam Mendes won. Yeah.
Hey, there's the Sam Mendes comparison.
There it is. Sam Mendes won BAFTA.
There he is.
So Hamnet is actually 1917, and
there it is.
Yeah. All right. There we. Yeah. See, we got there.
We got there all along.
Yes. Oh my God. All right. That is that. We are done with BAFTA. BAFTA is over. We will have PGA and SAG in the coming week and a half. And yeah, then we're just mere days, moments from the Oscars of this incredibly long season where everybody is tired and wants it to be over. Except for me, because I really love it. We could go till April and I'd be like, let's go. Not
No.
really. That's not
No.
true. That is not true.
Shut
your mouth, man.
my emotional bandwidth will not allow that. And
I'm ready
so,
for it to be
no.
over now.
I would not be able to go to an end of April season like it used to be. That would
It should be done in early February.
You should be
Yeah.
done in early February. Just throwing it out there.
I'm not
He
gonna.
kind of
I'm
was,
not gonna.
though.
Yeah, it kind of was. My birthday's in March, motherfucker. There you go.
Oh my God. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Thank you, Sophia. I was gonna say it, but you said it.
There you go.
Than myself.
All right. Okay. With that, we're wrapping for today. Ryan, where can people find you and your work?
Well, you can find all my work at AwardsWatch.com. It's the best Sophia's been in a while on the show. My God, it's the best joke you've made in such a long time. I'm so disoriented. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, Blue Sky, Ryan McQuade 77. If you like podcasts, Director Watch Thursday, new series, the works of Palin Pressburger, and we start with the film 49th Parallel. I'm really excited about this. Jay and I have covered Palin Pressburger before, but this is the first time for Director Watch. Some first time watches in here, but I mean, it's going to be like 2 months of watching banger after banger film. And Sophia's definitely already booked for an episode. We've got some guests lined up, some old favorites. It's going to be a really, really fun series as we tackle these two essential filmmakers. So yeah, check that out on Thursday.
Very cool. Sophia, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Sophia_Sim, Blue Sky and Letterboxd at Sophia Sim. You can find my podcast, Oscar Wilde, wherever you listen to podcasts. We're wrapping up our contender series. We just did the acting categories. So we have supporting actor and actress coming out this week and lead actor and actress next week. And you can find more podcasts, reviews, interviews, and more at AwardsWatch.
Love the breakdowns. They are always the best.
Mm-hmm.
So
they're wonderful.
Detailed.
There's
it makes me not have to do the work. No, I'm just
it's great. I love listening to that show.
I think we end every episode by, like, with each category we say what we would give the Oscar to, and I think One Battle is going to get 12 for me out of 13, and the only technicality is that I can't, there's a double in supporting
it's a tie
actor, so I could have done a tie.
Goodness,
trying to Lord of the Rings one battle after another.
Jeez Louise. Well,
I
with
love
that, you can find me at awardswatch.com, on Twitter at awardswatch Erik, and awardswatch everywhere else. Like I mentioned, we will have PGA next week, which will either open the door wide or lock it shut. Should be quite interesting, should be quite obvious. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens next week. Until then, thank you everyone for listening. Goodbye.